Warning, the following podcast contains adult language, themes, and situations. Also, the film we're about to talk about is going to be spoiled thoroughly. Listener discretion is advised. Enjoy this show.
Everybody's got to start somewhere. Even if you're the grandson of a legendary composer and the nephew of one of the greatest directors of all time. Though I'm sure that helps with getting auditions. But Nicolas Coppola was no different when he co-starred in a variety show television pilot opposite the one and only Crispin Glover, long before his turn as George McFly in Back to the Future. So enjoy as we bask in the glory of Nicolas Coppola's acting debut and an absolute treat for any Nicolas Cage fan, The Best of Times.
Okay, let's run.
I'm like a prickly pear.
What do you say we cut the chit-chat? A-hole! Porker, how'd it get burned? How'd it get burned? How'd it get burned? Hey, have you ever been dragged to the sidewalk and beat until you pissed blood?
Welcome to One Cage at a Time, the show where we break down every single Nicolas Cage movie, one film at a time. Here are your hosts, Patrick, Vince, and Nigel.
Meant to be a television pilot that was never picked up to become a series, The Best of Times is a variety show about the life as a teenager seen through the eyes of 8 teenagers who perform skits, songs, and dances that relate to their views between childhood and adulthood. That's the best we can describe it, because God knows there's no plot in this thing at all.
Let's see who's joining Nick on this adventure.
The Best of Times features the acting debuts of a handful of stars, including the man who made it in life by being cast as George McFly in Back to the Future, but was subsequently fired and replaced by a double in the sequels, which triggered a lawsuit that still protects actors from having their likenesses used without their permission today. The always strange and slightly unsettling Crispin Glover, Scream Queen horror actress Jill Sholin, and of course, the man who puts the muscles in Muscle Beach, Academy Award-winning actor and future El Salvador War draftee, Nicolas Kim Coppola, better known as Nicolas Cage. But also known as Nicolas Coppola.
It's time for the main event. Time to break down the film one scene at a time.
This is going to be very different from our normal episode because we're just going to do the breakdown and nothing else, because why would we ask questions about this thing? Why would we rate it? There's no point. We're not tracking anything. Just the breakdown. And since it's short, I figured I just take the brunt of the pain and go through it myself. Our example of what life was actually like for teens in 1981 starts with Crispin Glover playing a probably not that exaggerated version of himself, living in a hoarder's paradise surrounded by an old mushed up cake, tons of dirty clothes, a boom mic hanging in the shot, and a knocking on death's door looking basset hound. His mom screams at him from somewhere off screen to clean his room, since I'm guessing it smells like the seats at an adult bookstore. Room would probably light up Madison Square Garden under a black light, is all I'm saying. See where he got all the rats for Willard.
Yeah, that's where they're hiding out.
He breaks the fourth wall and maniacally talks directly to us, the poor viewers who have been ushered into this soiled house of horrors, and explains he doesn't think his room is messy and can find anything he's looking for, including his cassette player, but of course he can't find it since it's probably been buried under a colony of ants or is under the corpse of a mummified cat in the corner somewhere. His dog nearly mauls his face off while digging through his hoard. So he gives up the search and points to a picture far too blurry to make out thanks to the horrible transfer of this thing from VHS to YouTube. Picture of his friends, a.k.a. the rest of the cast. Just blurry picture on the wall. I'm sure it was clear at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe. This is the best I could find of this thing. I even tried to like upscale it and clean it up, but I can't This is it. I think this is all that exists for this.
See, one person recorded it on VHS and uploaded it to YouTube.
I kept it for all this time.
And that person was Crispin Glover.
Get ready, guys, because we're about to introduce this rowdy bunch of adolescents who will undoubtedly be touching your hearts and minds with their songs, dances, and introspective monologues for many wonderful seasons to come. There's his best friend, Nick, training his body and mind to kill El Salvadorians at the beach. Then there's Kevin, the ladies' man, who is portrayed as a total nerd who is turned down by every girl he interacts with until he's inexplicably dating the head cheerleader. Which is pretty realistic, I thought. Julie, the aforementioned vapid cheerleader, who was on the Facts of Life for a while, I guess. We got to do the quick facts in the episode. David, the brainiac, who can't stack paint cans but is going into genetic engineering. By the way, that guy went on to write for CSI and Empire. Lisa, running for her life, probably from Crispin Glover with a camcorder. Jill, who seems to be Crispin's crush, a.k.a. a.k.a. the object of all the crusty socks in his room. And Janet, who is 14 and really wants to play in a band. That's how Crispin Glover sounds in this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder, like, how did he ever get another acting gig after this? I know what you're thinking. He just introduced like half a dozen people, and this show is only 45 minutes long. How are they going to develop all these characters in that amount of time? I mean, they'd have to like fill the entire show with aimless 2-minute interactions / monologues, and the story would have to be pretty much non-existent. Next, Crispin gets real and says they're all teenagers who are treated as faceless members of society that everyone hassles and thinks are on dope. Yeah, pretty much.
Not just teenagers, but California teenagers.
The worst kind. Well, Crispy just wants you to know that teenagers are woven into the fabric of American life, and without them, there's no future. They're not just interested in goofing off and having a good time. They are concerned. Then he gets a phone call saying the gang is at the 7-Eleven and they're out of quarters. Teenagers, bunch of scamps. We are concerned. I gotta go. Oh, but before leaving, he comes back and says, remember, these are the best of times. And a theme song that must have been written in 12 minutes plays, brought to you by Charmin. The best of times. Living in the best of times. That's it. That's the whole thing.
So bad.
That's ear piercing.
Next, we see Kevin, the ladies' man, on the phone trying to pick up a girl for the big dance. I feel like 70% of this show is this doofus on the fucking phone. Mm-hmm. He must be practicing for his one phone call from jail. No, Mom, I wasn't watching them. I was using the binoculars to spot birds, I swear. How did I get it stuck in the fence? Well, my pants fell down, and I tripped. Anyway, we watched this guy describe himself to a girl on the other end of the line for a solid 2 minutes of screen time before she hangs up on his John Denver spliced with Jonathan Taylor Thomas looking ass. Get used to that, kids, because there's a whole lot more of that comedy gold to come. Next, we cut to literally the only reason anyone still knows this thing exists, hanging out on Muscle Beach, punching the air while talking about how the best part of Rocky was when Stallone kept hitting a side of beef.
The best scene was when Stallone kept hitting that side of beef. Remember that? He kept hitting that side of beef, just smashing it with his fist till it was all raw. Hit, smash, hit, making it all bloody.
Meanwhile, his doofus friend is eating a hamburger, and since Nick keeps going on and on about bloody beef, he tosses his burger in the trash in the following exchange.
Nick,
Yo,
you ever see any Disney pictures?
Insert laugh track.
He was in 2 of them. Which is funny because he was in 2 of them.
In Rocky?
No, Nick Cage. Mm-hmm. He was in 3 of them.
He's not in Rocky.
No. Saying
In Disney films.
he's in 3 Disney films.
He's not in Rocky.
He's not in
Disney.
Rocky. Rocky?
Who is he in Rocky?
Was he Mick? We cut to the 3 girls whose names were mentioned at the beginning. I think it was cheerleader, so-and-so, and the ugly one, if I remember right. Any Homestar Runner Teen Girl Squad fans out there?
Yep. Teen Girl Squad.
There's a reference from 20 years ago.
Deep cuts.
Anyway, Jill, Lisa, and Julie are doing their makeup and talking about how cum tastes like Clorox. Oh, wait. That was something else. I was thinking of something else. Same era. I mean, it's only 2 years apart. Mm-hmm. Valley Girl, in case anybody's inexplicably watching this and hasn't seen our Valley Girl episode.
Shame on you.
Shame.
The cheerleader talks about how she went on a date and he drove her down the coast highway, and before she knew it, they'd gone all the way to San Diego.
Oh.
Thank God the laugh track and comedic zinger music was there, because otherwise I wouldn't know to laugh at her being almost human trafficked at the Mexican border. Next, we see Jackie Mason working at the 7-Eleven. Wait, what the fuck is Jackie Mason doing in this?
He probably owed somebody a favor.
Mm-hmm. Life must have been rough between History of the World Part 1 and Caddyshack 2, I guess. Remember they kind of like replaced Dangerfield with Jackie Mason and thought that was going to work? Like everybody was, yeah, Jackie Mason. George McFly pops in to see if he can get a dime for recycling a bottle, and Jackie obliges, which causes Crispin to whistle for the entire cast to show up with hundreds of glass bottles. Jackie goes into his full Jewish Rodney Dangerfield shtick, which he was famous for some reason. And when he refuses to pay the kids, start blowing into the bottles and break into song. 6 minutes in, and I was already checking to see if my brain was boiling. Jackie Mason looks on horrified like the rest of us as Crispin Glover blows into a Coke bottle. Nick Cage plays a comb. Kevin, the ladies' man, plays a miniature guitar of some sorts. And the girls shake candy at Jackie like they're having a seizure.
He was only playing a comb because he didn't have a Wowie whistle available.
Maybe that's what, like, he was supposed to have a comb in that scene. He's like, I've been through this before. Didn't really go well.
Didn't work out.
I only made scale. Jackie tells them to listen to jazz or some shit. Lisa makes a stupid face into the camera while eating a Slurpee. A kid beats on some baked beans while Nick shakes a bag and makes bedroom eyes at the drummer. The ladies' man plays the payphone. You get the idea. It's like Stomp, but somehow dumber. Stomp's already pretty dumb.
It's Walmart. Stop.
Yeah.
Back then it was Kmart, you know.
It's Kmart.
Kmart Stomp. This shit goes on for what feels like 45 minutes before Jackie says the kids need their parents' love and reminisces about how his mom used to put her arms around his throat and say, "Boy, are you ugly." What a hilarious racist that guy was. All I'm saying is when he died, Sean Hannity called him an American patriot. You fill in the rest of the story.
Jesus.
Oh, I missed the part where the kids dance around the store like they're on LSD with food in their hands for a solid minute before stealing all of it and running out. Hey, I bet you didn't think that madcap, wacky carnival of comedy would be followed by the girl from The Stepfather candidly speaking directly into the camera about crippling separation anxiety, did you? Well, here we go. The fucking tonal shifts, man. It's crazy. She says she's scared of being alone, and when she goes off to college, she won't be able to hold on to anyone like a doll or a kitten or her parents when she's lonesome. Then she says that it isn't easy getting older, since she will have to make all new friends, and she's being thrown into a scary new reality where she'll be completely and utterly alone. Then it just cuts to another wacky scene like nothing even happened. Next, we see the 14-year-old girl who wants to be in a band. She's upset that the band is making her lug all their equipment around rather than let her play since she's a girl, and the guys don't want an icky, cootie-covered girly girl in their rockin' whatever the hell genre they're playing band. After that 10-second scene, we cut to Nicolas Cage showing the ladies' man what a real ladies' man looks like at Muscle Beach, if you know what I'm saying. Hey, he was 16. Restrain yourselves. I know it's hard when all he's wearing is a tight pair of Daisy Dukes. We're all human. I get it. By the way, I was hard. Kevin asks if he's good looking to Nick, and he says,
Not to me or not.
then tells him he can't get a girl because he doesn't have the right mental attitude. He promptly shows Kevin how he comes off to girls by walking at him like a geek and saying,
Hi, how you doing? Yeah, I saw your booking for today. Yeah. Oh, have a donut. Yes.
that's why you don't let 16-year-olds improv. Even if they're Nick Cage, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, have a donut.
He saw the foundation for the career, for his career of acting right there. This is what he built his empire upon.
It's like 8
Well,
years
Peter
later.
Piper picked a patch of pickled peppers. Like, yes, I did.
He goes on to explain that girls don't like happy guys because people think you're stupid and would way rather be with a guy who can shovel hot dough in and out of their stinking holes with the big knife or something.
That joke just never goes away.
Then he points at his bicep and screams.
Ah, that's what turns women on.
Then he stares into the ladies' man's eyes real sensuously and says when he looks into girls' eyes, he thinks, quote, I am the most beautiful man you have ever seen. My magnificent biceps drive you wild with desire, unquote. He tells Jonathan Taylor Denver to try out his technique on a girl sitting nearby, so he walks up to her like Steve Urkel, sits down next to her, and tells her Nick Cage is going to poke her eye out like he's Mohammed Banir if he doesn't talk to her.
Another reference.
Another reference. Yeah, nobody's ever going to get. Then he jabbers on for a few minutes while making goofy gestures at Nick before eventually falling over like a dumbass idiot. Then he stares at Nick, and Nick points at his bicep like a dumbass idiot. We cut back to the three girls doing their makeup again, and the ugly one says she's on the lettuce diet, but she's switching to a bread and water diet. So one of the other girls, who cares what her name is, says that sounds like a prison diet, and the ugly one says it is a prison diet because it was created by someone who killed a doctor. Hired the same joke writers as Laffy Taffy.
Pretty sure they were making a direct reference to something. Like to
Maybe.
something that's been lost to time.
Yeah.
It sounded like it was from the woman who killed the doctor, something such, or something like that.
Yeah, I'm sure it was a popular murder back in 1981.
Yeah.
We cut to David and Jackie Mason stocking a shelf together out of one box for some reason, where Jackie asks him what he's going to do when he grows up. And David says he's going into genetic engineering with a specialty in chromosome aminographology. And Jackie says if that doesn't work out, he can open up a hardware store. And and some goofy kazoo music plays over a transition to the next scene. What the hell even is this show? Was there supposed to be any kind of story, or is this really just 50 random ass scenes, one after the other?
It's for those who think
minutes.
The Star Wars Holiday Special is too coherent.
How far in were we? Anyways, yeah, we're like 5 minutes into this thing. Anyways, next we see all the kids from the show working at Kevin's uncle's car wash for some reason, while they all sing "Working 9 to 5" for the next 3 minutes. Why not?
They do hilarious physical comedy.
Yeah. Like when they drive the car
hijinks.
onto the thing and rip the bumper.
Yeah, I didn't even mention that in this.
Thank God.
This recap of this.
Nick just gets out. He's like,
I didn't do that. I didn't do that. Rico did it. No, you didn't.
Rico did it.
No, you didn't. Jokes just for us. It's an absolute fever dream of a sequence where we see young Nick Cage shirtless, wearing coveralls and a neckerchief, singing into a gas nozzle and dancing around like he just hit the high score on a pinball machine. There's a kid in a trunk for some reason, some roller skating while a kid plays a fiddle, square dancing, Nick making out with a Rolls Royce. Then all the kids dance around twirling towels like they're on the cheer squad. I'm not making any of this up. This all happened. Every one of these things. That's it. That's
3 minutes of your life you'll never get back.
what the fuck? After a commercial break, we see ladies' man Kevin sitting on the steps of the school, where we find out he is somehow miraculously dating the lead cheerleader. So I guess Nick's advice about walking sullenly up to girls and staring them dead in the eyes like a snake charmer worked. Charmed my snake is all I'm saying. He talks about what an honor it is to be dating the head cheerleader, and I guess the roofie wears off because she suddenly realizes the error of her ways. She was doing like a Cosmo compatibility quiz that says, "This jerk is a real nerd." So she promptly just dumps him right there and takes off.
Those are pretty accurate tests. So.
They seem to be. Then shit gets weirdly real again in a cafe/arcade where Crispy and the Brainiac, now streaming on HBO Max, talk about runaway kids, and Crispin opens up about running away from home when he was a kid. He says he's not proud of it, but he ran away to a nearby tree when he was 7 and watched as his mother called for him and only came down because she started to cry. Then Brainiac says, "I thought you said you ran away." And Crispin says, "I didn't say how far." You could get whiplash from the tonal shifts in this thing. Like, what was this? What was this supposed to be? Like, is this supposed to like make kids who are just like, I'm into fun stuff, I want to have fun, but then realize like, oh, other kids also have feelings. Maybe I should express my feelings to my friends in an arcade or something. I don't
know. Maybe it's an 80s thing we just don't understand.
I think it's just, it was aimed at parents.
Think so?
to tell them like,
poorly aimed.
Like, I don't know. Teenagers have lives, I guess, and dreams. I don't know.
That's why Jackie Mason was in it.
Yeah.
I remember being a teenager. But then again, I'm not a parent, so maybe it just goes away when you become a parent. Nigel?
No, if anything, it heightens it. It's like you see a child develop, you remember being a child a lot more. So, yeah, I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know what the intended purpose behind this special or TV pilot or whatever the hell this was supposed to turn into was. I don't know who the audience was supposed to be.
I thought it was like, originally I thought it was like a after school special type of thing.
Yeah.
Then it's
like if it was aimed at kids, I'm sure kids thought it was lame as hell.
Yeah. And adults would be like,
Teens
what
aren't
is
going to
this
watch it, and adults are going to get so
campy,
stupid.
ridiculous, stupid thing?
I don't know. These stupid after-school specials were pretty popular back in the day.
That's true. But I remember them being like, what was it, the one with the mouse on the motorcycle and stuff? It was like those types of things, right?
A mouse with the motorcycle.
Yeah, there were like 3 of those with the
5-0 goes west.
the little mouse like rides a motorcycle that is like a toy, and he can talk and stuff. You
I
remember that?
vaguely remember that.
It's back in the 80s. It was a long time ago. I recently like tried to rewatch it, and it is awful. I remember
Good,
it
you can
being
put screenshots of it in so people know what you're talking about.
great. Yeah, it's true.
Oh yeah,
I think
thanks.
it's literally called like the mouse on the motorcycle or something like that.
Yeah.
It's something similar to that.
I do.
I feel like that
vaguely remember
Stewart movie was based on this after school special. Back to the 3 girls again. Honestly, just insert your own Laffy Taffy joke like, what do you call a happy cowboy? A jolly rancher. Except make it about having her dad write her marriage vows since he's a divorce lawyer. We once again see Kevin on the payphone trying to pick up every member of a girl named Vicky's family, including her 10-year-old sister. Like I said, he's practicing for his one phone call from jail.
Oh my god.
I don't care if you don't believe me, Mom. She sounded 18 on the phone, I swear.
She said she was a 10.
Next, we see Crispin excitedly run into Jackie Mason's One Day on the Set, where Crispin freaks out about how fantastic, far out, intense, and real the new Talking Heads song is. And for some reason, the 7-Eleven just so happens to have a new release feature wall. Just full of already open tapes, too. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
That's how they sell them. He plays the song for Jackie while dancing like a Peanuts character. Before Jackie stops the song when Crispin freaks out about some elephant sounds in the song. Crispin's pretty depressed that Jackie didn't like the song he talked over the entire time it was playing, as you'd expect. But forget that scene. It's time to watch Nick Cage play pinball. He tells David he can't make up his mind between Stanford and Harvard. These jokes are starting to grow on me, guys. Oh, wait, he was being serious. David tells him there's no surfing at Harvard, and the guy who's worn a shirt twice so far in this show decides he's going to Stanford. Next scene. There's no narrative. There's no through line. There's nothing. So, like, the closest we get is that they're going to go to the dance at some point.
Yeah. It's what teens like. It's what their lives are like. There's just a bunch of interconnected, or loosely connected shenanigans.
Yeah. Me and my buddies, that's what we do. Remember when we all hung out at the arcade and went and worked at the gas station? Sang 9 to 5 shirtless together. To be fair, we did that like a week ago, but
Yeah. We did that recently.
well, we were in our panties too. Don't forget that part.
Subscribe to our Patreon for that video.
Squirted some ketchup, some mustard.
More callbacks. Nobody's good.
We're once again back in Crispin's sweaty gym sock smelling bedroom, where he again talks into the camera. He tells us about how his mom forces his dad to do work all weekend, even though she thinks he needs to rest, and that doing chores is how moms train their kids to be husbands. It's just 900 scenes of mild to moderately amusing anecdotes. That's it. That's the whole scene. Next. Then we cut to a rap about doing chores and weekends. Thank God we got our one allotted "How do you do, fellow kids" song from the writers. I feel like every special, every show, everything had to have one of these like really cheesy raps. Mm-hmm. Like as soon as Sugar Hill Gang showed up, they just had to stuff these into every single show. It's filled with all sorts of hijinks of the kids spraying themselves in the face with a garden hose, Nick throwing a newspaper over a house and ogling his mom's negligee. Not kidding. It's looking at his mom's negligee in the laundry. and screaming while running into each other at the park and sliding down a water slide. Then there's some football, basketball, creepy laughing, and Nick gets pulled over while go-karting. After another commercial break, young David tells Kevin he knows what's wrong with the world today. There's not enough peace and love. And then they scream at the pinball machines like a couple of abusive alcoholics. Lucky Jodie Foster wasn't in that arcade, huh? Anyone see The Accused?
Oh, God damn it.
I'm sorry. The drudgery continues as Julie talks to Jill on the phone and tells her she's in the new TV Guide. Remember TV Guide? That was a thing.
Yep.
She reads a letter to the editor saying, "I'll miss Walter Cronkite." Remember Walter Cronkite? Because I trust a man with white hair and a mustache.
You know, like all the teen girls did.
He's so hunky.
Why would this girl be writing into TV Guide about Walter
Talk
Cronkite?
about Walter Cronkite.
She wants to be a journalist or something.
Yeah, that's right. And she decides to change her major to journalism since she's been published. End of scene. Back at the beach with Nick and the dorky kid, Kevin says, "You know what bothers me is that some people are so preoccupied with themselves that they don't take time to listen." And Nick says, "What?" Which is undercut by the stupidest music I've ever heard in my entire life. I can't take it anymore. It's snapping. Ugh. We cut to the three girls finally in a different location where they talk about peeping on the guys' swim class. This is a really weird scene. The girl from The Stepfather says the girls wear swimsuits in class, but the boys swim naked. What?
It's the 80s, man. It's a different time,
hell?
okay?
They go on to say that there was a mix-up and the girls' class was scheduled at the same time as the boys, so the boys walked in on their swim class from the locker room. The naked boys in the front saw the girls and tried to get back into the locker room, but the also naked boys in the back kept pushing them forward. So the boys swim butt naked in this?
Yeah, their swim coach was Jerry Sandusky.
That's a name I haven't heard in a while. Oh, please don't sue us. Please don't sue us. Allegedly. There we go.
I don't think it was alleged anymore.
Yeah,
for
I
all
think we got
purposes.
some concrete
for legal
proof on that
reasons.
Allegedly.
For legal reasons.
For legal reasons,
Allegedly.
We have to say allegedly. He allegedly was a swim coach.
Anyways, the ugly one says she should have been there, since the other two know what a naked boy looks like now. And some more stupid music plays us out of that awesome scene. We cut to the band from earlier walking ahead of the 14-year-old girl lugging hundreds of pounds of equipment, and when she gets pissed off, one of the band members reassures her by saying he knew a guy just like her, and when she asks if he got to join the band, he says he started his own moving company. She's moving stuff, and this guy he became a mover. How did he know this guy? Who's the moving guy now? Guys, slay me. I'm ready. I can't do it anymore. How much longer is there?
Too much longer.
We cut to cheerleader and the ugly one talking about how they are women. And there's nothing they can't do, like be president or a country singer. Hopefully no one tells her that it's been 40 years and we still haven't had a woman president. Oh, and women are still getting screwed over in nearly every aspect of life. Anyway, before we can think about that one, we cut to Kevin on the phone. Remember the other 12 scenes of Kevin on the phone? Those are great, huh? You wouldn't guess it, though. But he gets turned down by a girl on the phone. But this time the phone rings after he hangs up, and he asks the operator out. But she turns him down. So she's probably like keep the 38. Lives in Omaha or something. At least I get to keep the quarter.
Remember payphones?
Remember that bowl haircut? We used to all have those. I definitely had that haircut at some point in my life.
I did too.
We cut to Lisa on the phone. What is it with the goddamn phones already? She creepily has a photo of one of her teachers next to her bed. Talks to Julie about how he held her after class and told her she's going to fail his class, which apparently made her damper than a swamp, and is convinced he wants to bang her or something.
Yeah, she wants her teacher to set her up like a porno movie. Yeah, she wants to be in the setup scene for a porno movie with her teacher.
With her Bill Nye looking ass teacher.
Yeah, what was the,
you're gonna get an F if you don't put in more effort.
Couldn't put like a handsome guy in the picture. Or?
No, Mr. Teacher, you're gonna get an F.
She's the ugly one, so she knows her. She knows where she stands.
She's only ugly because she really likes to eat and work out at the same time for some reason.
Yeah. I don't think she understands the calories in, calories out principle.
Because she was 80s fat.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
She was like 20 pounds overweight. Fucking hideous.
If that.
Anyways, who cares about that scene? It's time for a song and dance number in a jean store for some fucking reason.
Fucking hate this scene. This scene made my blood boil. I don't know why, but I fucking hated it.
I mean, at a certain point, you just kind of lose it with this thing.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't
This
fucking
is
do
my
this
breaking
anymore.
point.
Yeah.
It's only like
it was mine
45
as
minutes
well.
long.
It felt like 45
The
hours.
scene is like 45 minutes long. Dance number.
Yeah.
Thank God we're getting through this thing. We never have to watch this ever again, unless somebody wants us to do it on Back into the Cage.
They're going to have to pay a lot of money for that shit. There's a few movies that if they want us to go back in the Cage,
The Patreon is $50 for this one. We see Jill trying on Crocodile Dundee's hat before turning around and saying the adult world is always exploiting teenagers. You mean like how the makers of this show are exploiting these three girls by having them talk about sex in every other scene while undercutting it with goofy music and dumb dance numbers? She says teens chose to dress like early pioneers, simple and basic. But adults saw that and drove up the price of jeans and covered wagons or some shit. She fantasizes about Crispin buying pants, which turns into all the girls singing while wearing tight jeans with their breasts hanging out. Were we just talking about how exploited teens, how film producers exploited teens like 20 seconds ago?
Yeah, but writing the script, talking about that turned on the writer, so he's like, I gotta see these fucking
teenagers. Put some fucking jeans on. They sing Heartbreaker. You know that. Heartbreaker. Whatever. However the fuck. Heartbreaker. I don't know how to sing that song.
neither do they.
They sing Heartbreaker while groping Crispin Glover and showing off their asses in skin-tight jeans in the store for the next couple hours while Crispin gets as close to heaven as a teenage boy could get in 1981 on network television.
This is what passed for wet dreams back then.
Mm-hmm. We cut to Crispin. We cut to Crispin and Jill walking the exact same route as that rousing "We Are Women" scene from earlier, where Crispin tells Jill he had a dream about them dancing in a jean store. feel like I'm on acid. Like, what the hell is going on? Wasn't she the one who was...
It was her cutaway, and then it turned into his dream, I guess.
Yeah. Anyways, he finishes telling her about his wet dream and confesses that she was his girlfriend in his fantasy. And after she throws up in her mouth a little, she says if they started going together, I mean going together, they wouldn't be able to stand each other anymore since they'd be so wrapped up in each other's lives. She says they should just stay friends. And then she says, I respect you and I fucking dig you. While shaking his hand for some reason.
He was all bummed out, and she's like, David, stay positive, dude.
We cut to the 7-Eleven where David tells Jackie Mason he has wonderful news. And Jackie says, you're quitting. You've been drafted. Nothing could be better than you being drafted to be sent off to die. David tells him he's arranged for the 7-Eleven to supply the snacks for the school dance, which he'll do for free. What kind of janky shithole naked swim class having high school is this?
At least it's not like the Valley Girl High School where it was like a potluck and they all had to bring supplies for their own dance.
What's the punch?
Maybe things were different in the
cups?
80s. I don't know.
This kid's just a little con artist.
Anyways, after a Bible quote about soggy bread and saying 3 generations of high school kids will shop at his 7-Eleven, Jackie decides to take thousands of dollars in loss and supply the school dance with Funyuns and Gatorade or whatever the fuck a 7-Eleven can supply for a school dance.
Alcohol.
I guess. We could get you some natty ice. We cut to scene 879 of this 48-minute long show where we see the band rehearsing in a garage and the 14-year-old girl, I forget the name of because who cares, answers the phone. Again with the phones. Where she tells a promoter they won't work for less than $125, which he agrees to since this group of teenagers are worth it, I guess. She negotiates her way into the band by telling the promoter there are 5 of them, and then dorkily holds up her hand, laughing like she just inhaled nitrous oxide. Like that.
So I just want to point out $125 in 1981 would be the equivalent of $3,758 in today's money.
Wow, we have gone backwards.
So
I wonder why our
she
society's
negotiated a
fucked.
$3,700 payment for this garage band to come play at a dance or whatever.
Yeah, it was the school dance that she was the dance that she was negotiating.
What the fuck? How the
Oh,
hell
wait, no,
does
I
the school
had
have
the
that much
wrong
money?
year. I'm sorry. That was 1913.
It felt a little off, but
All right. It was $409
I mean
in
that's
today's
still.
money.
That's still good.
But who cares about that scene? It's time for a 2-minute long Nicolas Cage monologue on the beach. He gets real with us about the danger teens face about potentially being drafted to go to war. And you can really tell this scene is supposed to be serious because Nick put on a shirt for it. Like the only scene. He says his dad is all for some long-forgotten potential war in El Salvador that didn't end up happening, but he's worried he'll have to fight. Says he wishes wars could be in some place real neat, like the French Riviera or Bermuda. He says his dad has a raging hard-on at the thought of the U.S. going to war, and his mom cries at the thought of her only son dying in combat. Slight departure from the wacky dances at the car wash.
Yeah.
Nick says his dad tells him the army will make a man out of him, and he scoffs before flexing and says,
Look at that. Huh? I thought I was a man already.
he says his dad was in the Korean War and talks about how much fun it was hanging out with Radar, Trapper John, Hawkeye, and Klinger. But when Nick asks him about combat, he dummies right up. Gets a faraway look in his eye. Changes the subject. He goes on to say, if you talk about maybe having to go off to war, girls get real cuddly and affectionate. So I guess it has its good points.
Yeah, that's what I learned from Grease too.
Anyways, he's not going to worry about it since he has college next year if he can keep his grades up, before punctuating that by saying, I never got good grades. Wasn't he trying to decide between Harvard and Stanford like 300 scenes ago?
Yeah.
He's destined for the Marines.
He must have meant Stanford Community College or something. Harvard Vocational School. He finishes his epic monologue that birthed his stardom by saying he hopes we don't have a war since it'll kind of spoil things, you know, before walking off along the beach like he's in a feminine douche commercial. Mom, do you douche? That was the same time period, right? You guys remember that commercial?
God. Yeah, I think so.
Mom, do you douche? I remember being so caught off guard by that commercial every time it was on. We cut to Crispin Glover in front of the school where he says, the school dance. My mom and dad, they met at a school dance. But not like this dance, though. An old-fashioned dance where a kid played Johnny Be Good on stage and a guy named Biff got beat up in the parking lot. He says you should see his parents when they dance. Since they're so terrible at it, he has to close the shutters so the neighbors can't see. Which is coming from the guy who danced like Charlie Brown having an epileptic fit earlier. Then he says his dad dances with his mom in the kitchen when he's happy and says stuff like, this is groovy. Wait, was he raised by the same parents from Valley Girl? It's far out, probably. Man.
Far out.
This kid doesn't miss a trick. He says,
yeah, and dad dances with mom in the kitchen, and then she like shakes him back and forth, rubs his shoulder.
Hey, man, stop that!
Just save any of that stuff for me.
Have you got any of that stuff for me? Worst actress in this. So far in the entire show, that is the worst actress we have had. We've done a lot of terrible movies so far. Including this, whatever the fuck this is. I'd pick any of these girls to be in the movie before I'd pick that girl.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. He says they fell in love, got married, and had a pumpkin pie haircutted weirdo who they named after the drawer you put vegetables in the fridge. Then says his parents are all right, but they're just not with it. And goes inside to shoot up the dance. Oh, wait, this is the 80s. That was before that was a thing. Sorry.
Oh, God damn it.
He heads inside where we see that this isn't actually a dance, but a funeral. In the center of the room is a coffin with a flag draped over it. Turns out Nick was right to be worried about this here El Salvador thing after all. That would have been hilarious.
Doing a goofy
that
dance.
Would have like fixed everything. Then Charlie Brown dances around the coffin.
Playing Talking Heads.
See, it's an elephant. Inside the dance, we see that Kevin still ended up with the head cheerleader somehow. The band has that icky girl in it. Lisa and David ended up together despite never having one conversation in the 800 scenes that preceded this. And Jackie Mason is fighting off invisible ghosts or something while pretending he's a lowrider, I think. Because he didn't have to worry too much about taking a bath on this dance since he only provided like 4 bowls of chips and a couple bottles of ocean spray, even though he throws a fit when any kid literally eats anything. She freaks out after that. We see Jill and Crispin dancing where she says she had a dream about him last night in the same way as his dream. And he says, oh God, I don't want to know where the cucumber was in your dream.
put it in the crisper.
He put it in the crisper. We see Nick dancing with the girl from the beach he showed his bicep to because it's just that easy when you're Nicolas fucking Cage. I'm wondering if is it because like we talked about that on Lord of War. Like it's just like he just makes some stupid, horrible joke to somebody, and then next thing you know, he's in the hotel room with the girl. Is it really that easy? Is it really like if you look like Nick Cage? Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
And you're
living on
rich.
cheat code.
And you find someone really dumb.
It's I guess.
She might be a little pricey, but, it's still easy.
Got to promise to take him to Nice,
Terminal.
Ask him about their cat.
Kill their dog with your dog.
Yeah.
Ask him if he's getting through to them. It's easy. Easy as pie.
So many references that nobody's gonna get.
Wear a blue pastel suit into a strip club.
Yeah. Fall asleep in the pass out
Leisure
chair
suit.
and look irresistible.
He tells the girl he's off to the war in El Salvador tomorrow, and she hugs him tight, prompting him to make a goofy face to the camera, which kind of cheapens that heartfelt monologue a tad bit, but whatever.
Just using it to get laid.
Then the 14-year-old girl comes out, and the band plays a Muzak version of Johnny Be Good. Wait, the fuck? Did Robert Zemeckis just see this piece of shit while casting George McFly and rip off this entire scene?
He directed this.
Nick Cage dances in the middle of a dance circle for a bit, which he finishes by doing the splits, and eventually we cut back to Crispin reminiscing in his room while staring at the picture of his friends on the wall. That's what life as a teenager is really like.
Fapping?
Crusty socks.
Yeah.
Crusty socks.
After
This is
one,
before porn, too. Like internet porn.
exactly.
Yeah.
This is when you had to imagine things or have a poster
The
on the
dark
wall
ages.
or something. Yeah.
Poster on your wall.
After one last commercial break, we see that he has somehow managed to clean his pigsty of a room, and the dog managed to live through the entire 8 hours of this pilot episode that somehow didn't become a series. I don't know how. How do you see this and not pick this up? He leaves us with one last poignant thought about being a teenager. You see, guys, they're not kids anymore, and they're not adults either. There's some sort of creepy chimera of the two covered in zits with raging hormones.
Like Mom Jack.
Sometimes it's a lot of fun, a little scary, and sometimes it's beautiful. Everything's so new, and I guess that's why they get a little wild or crazy or lonely or play a fiddle and square dance in the middle of working 9 to 5. But before you know it, one day you wake up and you're 20. What he's trying to say is don't be like most adults and dismiss them with a simple, these kids today, or you being drafted would be the best news ever. Next time you see a teenager, just say to yourself, hey, I used to be Crispin Glover, and then scream yourself to sleep. The end. Thank God.
Yeah.
I don't remember 90% of that.
Me neither. And I wrote it.
There's a 10 out of 10 review for this on IMDb.
Oh my God. Who the fuck reviewed this?
This is the best TV show, one of the best TV shows ever. For Crispin Glover fans, this is a must-see, and to end all must-sees, Crispin plays Crispin as well as the narrator. That's right, Crispin officially breaks the fourth wall, and he does so repeatedly, talking directly to us. Every word coming out of his mouth is pure gold. Crispin has rarely been funnier. In many ways, the humor stems from our knowledge of Crispin that comes from films he's appeared in after the best of times. He is quite young in this picture. Watching him attempting to shoehorn his persona into a sitcom variety musical made for TV is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. Nicolas Cage is also unreal. Definitely his funniest performance ever, for similar reasons. Jackie Mason also appears. I'm not a big fan of his, but I'm sure fans would do really well, would really like this as well. It's probably not for you if you are neither a Crispin Glover fan, nor a Nicolas Cage fan, nor a Jackie Mason fan, unless you really like really, really bad TV. As really bad TV goes, and by really bad TV, I mean TV so bad it's gone past bad and back to good, this is absolutely the cream of the top. Cream of the crop. I've never laughed so hard at anything that was intended for a television audience. Please, for the love of God, somebody put this on DVD.
I think it should die the slow death it deserves.
Yeah.
The only reason anybody's watching this thing anymore is because Crispin Glover and Nick Cage somehow inexplicably came out of this pile of garbage. Mm-hmm.
My dad keeps telling me I need to use Surfshark to protect my private information. Says we can never be too careful. We gotta show these data thieves that we won't be pushed around. And that's fine. Maybe I shouldn't be taking chances. I mean, with all these company data breaches, if my information ends up on the dark web, I'm out there, man. But you don't think they'll steal my information, do you? Wish my dad wouldn't talk about it all the time. My mom looks at me, and she starts to cry. And Dad says using a VPN will make a man out of me. Well, look at that, huh? I thought I was a man already. Dad grew up before the internet. He talks about how there used to be no such thing as VPNs, about how he and his friends got their credit card information stolen. When I ask him, hey Dad, what about just using incognito mode? He dummies right up. He gets this faraway look in his eye. Says that won't protect me at all. Tell you one thing though, you date a girl and start talking about maybe protecting your data online with Surfshark, she gets real cuddly and affectionate, so it definitely has its good points. Anyway, I'm not going to worry about it, because I got 83% off plus 3 free months by using Surfshark and using the coupon code 1CagePod. I'm going to use it when I go on public Wi-Fi after I go to college. I never got good grades. I just don't want anybody stealing my information. It kind of spoils things, you know what I mean?
Here it is, the moment you've all been waiting for. These are the cagiest moments of the film.
The best scene was when Stallone kept hitting that side of beef. Remember that? He kept hitting that side of beef, just smashing it with his fist. That was all raw. Hit, smash, hit, making it all bloody. You sure did a job on that beef.
Nick,
Yo.
you ever see any Disney pictures?
Wait a second, there is more. On our way home, stop and shop for dinner, too. This is how you walk. Hi. Hi, how you doing? Yeah, I saw your booking for today. Yeah. Oh, have a donut. Yes. What does that say to people? Ah! That's what turns women on. And Dad says the army will make a man out of me. Look at that. Huh? I thought I was a man already. It's off to the war in El Salvador.
Oh, Nick.
That's it for this episode of One Cage at a Time. As always, be sure to drop us an email at onecagepodcast@gmail.com to let us know if we missed anything, or hit us up with suggestions to improve the show, like me not doing the entire thing. I'm sure people are sick of my voice already. Comments, compliments, or simply to gush about the legend that is Nicolas Coppola. Break out the champagne and fried chicken, because next up is our final episode of Season 2. But fear not, we're finishing strong with the ever so slightly over-the-top action thriller classic, depending on who you ask. Con Air.
It's a classic.
Yeah.
Nick stars as Cameron Poe, a recently paroled Army Ranger who has to fight off half of Hollywood for some reason. I don't know why they had to get so many stars into that movie. To get home to his wife and a daughter he's never met because he refused to have her come to the visiting room.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that's one of my. Don't spoil one of my Coppola questions.
It's pride, man. You don't want his daughter seeing him like that.
I guess. But the plane is hijacked by Nigel's favorite actor, John Malkovich. That ought to be fun.
Hey, I mean, he plays a good creep, so
He's
it's fine.
great.
Yeah.
He's great at it. Make sure to check it out wherever fine films are sold or on your streaming service of choice. Until then, we'll say goodbye the way we do each and every episode with our Nicolas Cage quote of the film or variety show.
I never got kicked base.
Thanks for listening to One Cage at a Time. Visit us online at onecageatatime.com or follow us on the social media platform of your choice for more Nicolas Cage goodness. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and if you really like the show, become a member of our Patreon where you can download unedited and ad-free episodes as well as listen to our follow-up show, Back Into the Cage, where we re-examine each movie to discuss what we missed the first time around, answer listener questions, and wax poetic about the man, the myth, the legend that is Nicolas Cage.